Assalamu alaikum. Let's begin Kitab L Tawheed at the end of Volume 1. I had mentioned to you in my previous lesson about Surah Al-Asra that I'm going to recap sporadically things that occur to me that I feel need a review. Now, this particular chapter is called Ma Ja'a fi Tanjim. Now, Tanjim, the root here is najama, which means star. So, as you know, Kitab L Tawheed, the reason for this book to be so close to my heart, and it's so close to my heart. I tell everybody after Quran, read this. I don't tell them to go on a typical Islamic university curriculum. No, read this book because everything they give you, you're going to get better in here. Why? Because this is the warrior's battle manual. That's why they don't like it. It uncovers every form of kufr and shirk with examples. Now, I particularly love it because of my many years studying history. And I was always fascinated with other people and other places. I mentioned to you as a child, I was bored by America. I had the sense that everybody, well, in my family, they looked the same. They acted the same. You know, Irish, it's very tribal. It's as tribal as the Arabs. You know, there's a big parallel. Scholars have found it between the Palestinians and the Irish in many ways. So because I was raised in a very homogenous environment, it bored me. From my earliest childhood, I felt I was bored. And so I used to pretend I was an Indian, and we had an underdeveloped area at the top of my street where I could just go in the woods and stay there all day because I told you, Irish families, get out of the house. Don't come back till supper. I am not disparaging my mom. I'm just telling you that this is the way it was. You ask anyone of my age group who was raised in an Irish household. You were a little wild Indian. That's how my mother used to refer to us. Because they used to want us out of the house because we were usually large families. We were noisy. And I had 5 brothers. And were they, I love them. Of course I do. One passed. One is neither here nor there. We don't know where he is. But Allah gives you exactly what you need for the purpose that He is raising you up for. So I was always studious. And my favorite thing was to read, but to go outside and read. My room was great too, but I just wanted to be outside all the time, either sitting in somewhere with grass or on the beach on the sand or just anywhere that I could be reading or fantasizing. So why am I connecting this story to the chapter about the stars, the Najum? It is because I used to want to be an Indian, and I used to believe that if I went up into those woods, alone, of course, guardian angels everywhere in my life, I really felt I was an Indian. I even made my little hut out of tree branches, and I asked my mom to get me moccasins so that I could wear moccasins instead of normal shoes. My mom didn't really pay much attention to whatever it was that we asked for, because we knew if we really wanted to get something, we had to go to the deep pockets. My dad. And they would argue about, should I have it or not? And my mom didn't want me to have what I asked for. And my dad always said, princess, princess, come. And he'd give it to me. Typical Irish family. Anyway, I digress, as I usually do. 3 precepts we're going to devote to this chapter. It's a short chapter, but it's loaded with wisdom. Number 1, my total disregard for any form of traditions from anything. I wanted to live in a fantasy. I loved religion, but I didn't believe in Trinity. And I always talked to God, but I didn't call him God. I talked to him. It was almost like the Great Spirit, like the Indians believed. He was up there, but I always said, I don't know your name. I don't know what you look like. I know you're not hanging on the wall with nails in your hands and feet and a crown of thorns and blood dripping down in your eyes and on your face. I just knew it was a lie. So I rejected the fairy tales that they told us were religion, but I invented my own little world. So number one was rebellious spirit, not accepting traditions, except number two, creating my own reality to my liking, which included anything that wasn't baseline American. I always resisted my homogenous upbringing. Everyone I knew was Irish. We all looked the same. We all had the same socioeconomic whatever, because we lived in these Irish Rivieras. We had a couple of Italian mafioso in my neighborhood, but on the summertime, we were in the Irish Riviera. Was it good? Well, I didn't like the yacht club, and my dad kept saying, you belong to the yacht club. I don't want you down the Sandhills Beach with the townies. And I would say, and of course I would go right down Sandhills Beach with the townies. So rebellious spirit, living in fantasy. And number three, always knowing there was a truth somewhere. And I didn't limit it to any particular time and place or race or nationality or socioeconomic. I was a very free thinker. And I know that's why Allah led me to Islam. But it took a long time. I had to go through the crazy period of youth with all that meant in those days, which were, the British invasion of the Beatles and then all that drugs and free love. And of course, I didn't do that stuff, but I wasn't part of it. I was like an outside observer. And then when I went to college and university, I would always seek out the foreign students. I wanted to know what was on their mind because I was bored with the kids who look like me because I already know what's on their mind. Not a lot of depth because it was a form of child abuse. We were raised to be materialistic and partying all the time and chasing boys. And I've gone over this in my lessons, but I cannot stress how much this background makes me love so much Kitab L Tawheed, because this book fights all idols, everywhere, at all times. It does not discriminate. Kitab L Tawheed will get you where you are, and it will, inshallah, disturb you. And after it disturbs you, explaining why you should be disturbed, it will give you Quran and Hadith and make you feel comfort again. So let's move right on to the review about the Tanjim, about the stars. And I did this over a year ago, but I'm going to give it special attention because tomorrow begins the last 10 days of Ramadan. And I will stay with this program, review Surah Isra, and also, phone call, hold on.